All right, welcome to the Oh My God I'm Launching podcast. I'm your host, Ken Westgar, and today I have Michal Greenberg-Cohen from Israel with me. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. And we did rehearse a little bit on the name before we got on, so you know, it's, I didn't know exactly how to pronounce it, but you helped me a little bit, so thank you for that.
My pleasure. I had some incidents because I live now in the US and I work here. Many times my name is being misspelled or
Mm,
mispronounced, and many times I like shy. I feel uncomfortable correcting people,
yeah,
but I learned to talk about it before I'm being recorded.
yeah. Well, it does help, to be honest, and just letting people know that this is how you pronounce my name, and then you don't have to deal with the awkwardness afterwards. That's so much better.
Right.
But today we're going to talk about how to deal with sensitive topics, and you are very familiar with this. So why don't you just start off by explaining us what it is that you do, who you are, and who you help.
Yes, happy to do. I do sex education for parents, and I help mainly mothers to better connect with themselves, their spouses, and their teens, so that they can have more empowered and intimate conversation about sexual topics with their spouses and with their teenagers.
I love that. And I have to admit, when you approached me, I was like, I don't know if this is the right thing to talk about, but you had a really great way of just finding the right angle for this. And like you said, we're going to talk about sensitive topics because education is obviously a sensitive topic. So you had to go through some hurdles to both just launch it and just dealing with Facebook ads and, people's judgment and God knows what. But obviously that's something you managed to deal with. So I would love to just hear, how do you deal with all of that in terms of, because like we talked about before we got on as well, is you're from Israel, so I assumed, which is not a good thing obviously, but I assumed that would be talking about sexual topics would be extremely hard. But you said that US is just as bad or even worse. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I actually started my way as a sex educator in the US,
Hmm.
and I've been living here for more than 11 years. And one might think that, hey, like Americans, you can talk with them about everything and they're open and they can really open to talk about sexual topics. And as I start promoting my products and putting my name out there, I realized that I need to to slow down and
Okay.
really go on to the more conservative way when I'm
Hmm.
approaching parents. And that was kind of interesting for me to to realize that actually America is very, the school systems are very conservative, and people are being raised here in a very conservative manner
Hmm.
unless they live in an open home. But as a whole, as a nation, the attitude is more conservative. Yes, people are really hope to have it more open, but it's like really small steps to get to the more open culture. If I need to compare it, for example, to Europe, which
Hmm.
is actually considered a much more open space to talk about sexual topics.
Interesting. And how does that look like for you to try to do more in a way that you know applies to the Americans
Right.
versus the Europeans?
Yeah. So I can share with you that my story, like the way I realized that I need to change and tweak and maybe be more aware of where I'm working from and to whom I'm approaching, was that I am a strong believer that we need to talk about pornography with our
Hmm.
teenagers and with our spouses. And I originally said, hey, like, let's just say that I'm talking about porn and let's discuss pornography. And then many parents, first of all, said, we like our kids, it's not relevant for us, so that they refuse completely to interact with me on that platform. But I also realized that for me to advertise on social media, when I'm literally saying the word sex or pornography, I'm actually not so much welcome to do that. And one might be surprised because I was like, but I'm doing good. Like, I want to help mothers. Like, I'm not talking anything bad or making anyone to do things they don't want to do. I'm actually open a conversation on something that can help others and parents and children. And I realized that actually, we talk about America as conservative, but also social media is very, very much conservative. And if
Yeah,
I'm
because it's
actually
really black and white. I mean, there's no gray
right,
area there at all.
yes, and I think it's even like become more challenging because you talk to an algorithm, and it's really hard to get someone to talk like a person, and you cannot even like validate your account so that you won't get penalized by Facebook.
Right.
And I can share with you that Facebook actually shut down my page because they claim that I'm talking too much about pornography,
Right.
literally. And I had to start all over again and still choosing Facebook to run my ads, knowing that this platform at the end of the day might not actually keep me on the platform. They might not promote my content, but they will actually take my money. But
Yeah.
yes, I think that was a place for me. When when I offered you to talk, I really wanted also to put that angle because I think that many business owners that think about like promoting their products, they don't have like these sensitive topics that they actually take another layer that I had to face. And I know that many people that works in the sex education are facing, and many of them are actually afraid of doing what I did because they don't want to
Absolutely.
be penalized by Facebook. They don't want to be shut down. And then they choose not to do anything and just like approach directly to schools. And I think we should not actually do that. I think that's like the best way to get our clients is to approach parents and to meet them where they are, which is on social media, which
Yep.
is on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram.
Exactly. So, how did you handle being shut down? I mean, I've seen a lot of people, being their accounts being shut down, and it's for far less curious reasons than you have. But um, I mean, it's not that easy to open up that again. Obviously, did you have to start an entirely new page, or how did you go about that?
Yes, so I had to start a new page, and I realized that I need to start a clean page.
Mm-hmm.
So I put like information on my old page, and I actually said like Facebook does not allow me to talk so much about porn and sex. So here's my clean page on doing so.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually learned that if I'm running ads or any content that I'm publishing, I need to count how many times I put sex or porn in that
Right.
content. So if I need to beat the algorithm, I need to be a little more sensitive than what might raise red flag
Mm-hmm.
for the algorithm. So I learned how to play with it so that I can just go through it. And I also want to share that many people were like, so don't use Facebook, go to Google Ads, maybe run ads on YouTube. And I actually want to share that I think that when it comes to this content on sexual education, all platform will be the same. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that Google will act differently than Facebook in that matter.
Yep.
And I get it, they're afraid, and it is a sensitive topic. And I think
Absolutely.
that for me, because I really look at my vision is to reach out to the parents and to help them. And most of them, like that's the platform they're at, then I should find the best way to actually reach out to them. Even if Facebook gonna do me, give me a hard time, I'm still gonna find a way to work on that.
Mm-hmm. I love the mindset that you have because I think a lot of people get extremely discouraged when they see their pages being shut down or they can't do any more ads or something like that, and they just like, oh no, what do I do? I mean, it's all, you know, I can't do anything. But you are like the total opposite, and you just figure out, okay, well, I'll start fresh again and let's do it again, and just figure out how can I just avoid being red flag, basically.
Yes, and I think that I really believe that like the way to success and the way for like effective launches and all that is to know the data.
Mm,
And for me, it was really about as long as I know the data, and as long as I know the audience I should advertise to, and now I know like how many times I need to I can put porn or sex, and really understand how to use the platform without getting penalized
hmm.
on it, then that's what matter. And everything is a learning possibility, and really about like if I will give up on Facebook, then to be honest, then I don't know how to get my audience. So
Exactly.
it's like it was really about my audience. If I go, sorry, if I go nationwide, my audience is online, and
Hmm.
that's the rules. And true, I would love the rules to be different, but that's the game I'm playing with. And if I want to succeed, then I need to find the best way in those rules to get the best results for me.
Hmm. And you, so basically, you can use the words as, you know, sex and porn. You can use that in ads. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but
But
it's
but
you have to count how
okay.
many times you use
And how
it. So
did you
like it
figure out
was,
that though? Did it was there any resource that you could figure this out, or did you just have to test and figure that
I
out on your own?
tested,
You
and
tested.
then I was rejected.
Hmm.
So I went back and okay, let me try something else.
Hmm.
And then I just remove, one time sex or one time porn, and I literally counted because I
Mm.
realized that the magic will be probably when I'll figure out when I will not be rejected.
Hmm.
So it was just a test game, and once I realized that, I actually happily shared it with my other sex educator colleagues and say, you know what, we can advertise on Facebook. We just need to know that there is like a limit to how much time or how much, the time that you can use specific words. And also we need to be very careful on the image
Hmm.
that we share. I also found, which is very interesting, actually Facebook gives that information, that like when you do sensitive topics, you are not allowed to advertise about pleasure,
Okay.
no
Right.
matter what. They don't care. But the word pleasure or anything that implies to pleasure cannot be anywhere on your ad or
So
on your
weird.
image or your landing page. It cannot.
Well, okay. Yeah. It is what it is. You know, we can't change that. But it's
Yes.
definitely, and obviously it's not just in your space that this is a problem. I believe it's in health and wellness too, because you can't make the promises and you can't use certain language there as well. So, but obviously there's probably some workarounds in that space too, I would assume.
Yes. Yes. And I think that, and I know that I have friends who are like in the weight loss,
Hmm.
and they also reports a lot of issues with Facebook. And I just think that when it comes to sex education, to like really those sensitive topics, it's even like another layer
Hmm.
that we need to be more careful. And it's a more a struggle or a challenge for us compared to other business
Oh,
owners.
absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I mean, it takes a lot of perseverance to just kind of being met with this huge wall every time and then try to get over it or around it or whatever and just get back on it again. I mean, it's amazing that you just keep on pushing and keep on doing it. I love that.
Yes.
But obviously, this is a lot of this work is on messaging for your part. How have you evolved from kind of where you started to where you are now with the messaging?
Yes, great question. I think that I learned that what you come with if originally probably not going to be where you're going to land at the end. And
Obviously. Yeah.
right, but it's like at the beginning, I think that I'm talking about myself, when I just started my business, I really thought that I have it all figured out, and that's why I can start my business. And as I went through and started understanding more about the business and how to get clients, then I realized that I need to really understand who are my clients and what they need to hear in order to come to me. And I think that this is where I actually realized that there was like a lot of conservative mothers that might not be my ideal clients. And then I think that also for me, one of the stages was that originally I thought, oh, I'm going to help everyone because I'm a strong believer in my cause and what I want to offer. And I thought like every mother needs my program. Every mother, I can help every mother, because at the end of the day, it's really about helping their children. But then I realized that actually I cannot. There will be, I don't talk like the same language in terms of my values and in terms of my approach. And so like I needed to make peace with that, for example. And then really understanding like my audience and where they are and what do they need, how can I support them better. And I can even share with you that originally I thought about just having having programs to help parents how to talk about sexual topics, how to talk about porn, how to talk about LGBTQ+, how to talk about healthy relationships. But then I realized that it's more than that, because if I, as a role model in my home, is not really showing what I'm talking about, then my children at the end of the day, I call it, they don't listen to what I say. They listen to what I do. And maybe, and then I realized that my support is not only about what to say or how to say, it's really about how can I support you as a mother to be more like in peace, or to understand even like your sexuality and your connection to what you think about porn, what you think about healthy relationship, what you think about LGBTQ+, so that will help you to have like a more powerful and a more like real conversation with your children.
Right. Yeah. What are some of the most what's the most valuable thing that you learn with your messaging in terms of gaining that knowledge and changing your messaging? I don't know if you got that.
So I would say that if originally my messaging was totally completely focusing on the teenagers, then my messaging was like shifting the focus on like me, meaning like on the mothers more, or to begin with, and only then moving it to the teenager.
Right. Yeah. So going through the parents to the teenager.
Right. Yes.
Interesting. And how did you even get on this path of deciding that this is what I want to do? Did you have some education in the back there, or how did you end up here?
So many years ago, so I currently have teenagers, boys, and when they were toddlers, I actually participate in a conversation with two friends, women, that they spoke about how porn influenced their sex life. And I was kind of like shocked and intrigued and really curious also about understanding why, like, how did that happen? And we're talking 10 years ago. And I'm a great researcher and I love to learn. So I opened my computer, and that was when smartphone only started. And I started doing my research, and I realized that like the internet and the smartphone revolution actually changed the accessibility of pornography. And I remember that I was thinking about my boys that were toddlers, and I'm like, actually said like, oh my God, what is the world that they're going to grow up to if no one is going to talk about like the elephant in the room? And as I was talking about it with others, I realized that I feel comfortable actually talking about it. I feel comfortable sharing about that. I feel comfortable saying those sensitive words that many people don't. And I really felt that like I have a mission to support as many parents as possible in that. And that what led me to become and to learn how to be a sex educator and to become a sex educator for parents.
Hmm. Right. Um, and obviously, you mentioned that people are being very conservative and stuff like that. So, are you targeting people who are conservative or more open? And how are the reactions on the people that you target when you kind of reach out to them?
Yes. So what I'm doing is for me, I am targeting people that are willing to see the word porn on
Hmm.
my landing page.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Because if
So
they
like,
just see that, they will shy away or go another way. Obviously.
right. Yes. And that are willing to be open to start the conversation. So for me, that's the way to filter
Hmm.
who is like a good fit, who might like benefit from working with me or who might, we're not there yet.
Hmm.
So, I can share with you that one of the things that some coaches told me was like, don't use the word pornography. Like, don't use the word sex on your landing page or like in your message. And
Okay.
I actually said, I was like, really, but I can't, because if they are not even there, they're not willing to even say,
Hmm.
yeah, that might help me or that might benefit my children, then I don't like, they're not for me. And
Right.
I
Yeah. Because then you
insisted,
have to work through that as well, and
right,
just
right. Or maybe like the conversation will be, oh, you know what, but that's not relevant
yeah.
to me. And I want parents that they think, oh, this is relevant for me. This
Hmm.
can help me. So I insisted in that. And I think that it did cause like the more, the advertisement issues or, I needed to be more careful. But I believe in that. I think it's one of my values.
Hmm.
Now when we're talking about it, this is just one of my values that I don't believe we should hide this conversation from our children and from ourselves. And therefore, I don't believe I should hide this conversation in my messaging and in my landing page.
Yeah. It's incredibly good that you really stand behind that and actually use it, because like you just said, people recommend that you don't use it, and it's really easy to just, yeah, you're probably right, it's gonna offend people or whatever. I mean, people get so easily offended in
Yes.
2021, but you just stood your ground and decided, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm I'm gonna guess that you get really qualified leads when you do that as well, because, like you said, they are open to having that conversation. They're open to using those words, and that's why they're on your page, and that's why they also convert, probably.
Yes, because they know also that I'm not afraid
Hmm.
to talk about that, because sometimes I'm okay with people who are saying, I'm afraid to talk about it, but I know it can help me. So I'll have someone else talk about it for me,
Hmm.
right? But they're not against the idea. And I think that one of my strengths is the fact that let me talk it for you.
Hmm.
Let me start the conversation for you. Let me show you it's possible so that you can also have that for yourself.
Yeah. Imagine how the conversation would go if you were like, well, I'm not really comfortable talking about or using these words. I mean, that would be an entirely different conversation or coaching session, whatever it is.
Yes. Yes. But I think that for that, by the way, I think many of us, like the business owners, it's like that's exactly how you know your clients or your
Hmm.
your leads that are good, because they need to be willing to have the conversation that you're having.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that people should take away from this conversation here is that, your messaging is so incredibly important, and just, standing your ground, and just because I think a lot of people, when it comes to messaging, we get, so many others' opinions, guided towards us, and that we start to kind of shift away from just being who we are supposed to be, or talking about the things that we want to talk about in the way that we want to talk about. So it's kind of just get muddled, I guess, the messaging. But if we just, stand our ground, listen to ourselves, something's going to change. And I think that's the way to do launches or marketing or whatever it is these days versus what we've been doing in the past. And you are right on track with that.
Thank you. Yes.
So, have you done any launches in terms of using this kind of language or messaging?
So so my latest one was really about the conversation, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's during the summer that it hit me that I need to shift the focus. And I think that, just to add to what you shared, I think that the idea is to put yourself out there and to see what resonates for you and for your audience,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can change. And from every launch that I did, I learned something also about myself and what resonates for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only now that I am shifting the focus to the mothers and working about the, what is the best program I can offer the mothers, so that I can also support them, and after that support the conversation with their teenager.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the beauty of messaging. It can seem really hard, and you think that you have to nail it right away, but you are living proof that if it will evolve and it will change. And like you said, it's only now that you have really shifted the focus, and you feel like this is the right thing to do with the right talking to the right audience or the right targeting. Yeah, I love
Right.
that.
Yes.
um, so when you've launched, what have you launched? Like, is it one-on-one coaching, or is it course, or what have you launched?
So what I really like doing is more of a group coaching, because I
Mm-hmm.
think that many times, like for parents, they think that they're alone.
Yeah.
I also acknowledge the fact that because it's a sensitive topic, that parents actually don't want to talk the group coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I do offer one-on-one, but I'm a strong believer on the power of a group.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about like a group setting, so that mothers can support one another and also don't feel that they are alone in this process. They're alone in those thoughts and the challenges they have with their teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. And how has that? Yeah, how has launches gone? What does it look like when you launch these group coaching sessions?
Yes. So currently, what I am more focusing on is actually launching only to my email list,
Mm-hmm.
because I learned that because it's a sensitive topic, people are probably less into buying a course or a training from a Facebook ad,
Mm-hmm.
especially on this topic, because they don't know me, they don't know what my values, they don't know what I'm going to
Right.
talk about. So I'm actually putting a lot of effort on my emails, and like even like my weekly emails. There are a lot of sharing so that they can know me better
Mm.
and connect to myself and my values and my stories. So then when I'm launching, then they know who I am and they know if that's going to be a good fit for them or not. And
Yeah.
that's what I really put my focus in working on.
Yeah. It's almost like the like, know, and trust factor is even more important to you than a lot of other people, because, like I said, it's a sensitive topic, and not everybody's ready to open up. So they need to really like and trust you before they do that in a group setting.
Yes, yes. And I think that that's exactly when, I look at myself as a mother, but also as a business owner. And it's probably if I'll see like a good advertisement for a business workshop that I might think that it will be beneficial for me, probably will be more likely to purchase it than if I saw a parenting workshop. If I don't know the instructor
Mm-hmm.
or like who they are, I will probably not buy it. And I tell that also to other people that work in the field of, we need to understand that it's not, I cannot compare myself to other business owners that do B2B, because many times like the conversation I need to create with my leads is different. So to make them actually trust me, know me, and like my offers so that they will purchase.
Mm-hmm. And how do you get them on your email is in the first place? Is that through Facebook ads? Or,
Yes.
okay. And
Right.
is this something that you offer them, or just, get on my email list? Is that?
So people like free stuff, also
Yeah.
parents, also, and that for me, like a place to see, like if they're into my content. So I
Hmm.
had one guide that I offered about how to start a conversation about pornography. And then now I have like my ads are about relationship.
Hmm.
So how to spark your relationship. And so it's really about finding the audience that might be interested in my messaging and in my values. So I offer them something for free, and then that's how they've been added to my email list.
Mm, love it. And what does the future look like for you?
So for me, it's really about to grow my audience and to grow my influence and really support as many parents as possible in having this conversation. So really, just to grow, because for me, the way I see it is that every parent that I'm helping the future, because I'm helping their children, and that will have like a ripple effect.
Hmm.
And I know that maybe when I just started, I thought it's going to be like, immediately like a huge success. I know now it's like a step by step and it takes time. But I am, after like every like every good coaching that I'm having, I know that like I helped someone and I
Hmm.
made a difference. And it's the more I can grow that, like the better world we all gonna be living in.
Absolutely. And I can picture myself, down the line that you help other people in the same space just to kind of help them build their business because you already been through this and you learned so much so that there's so much knowledge that should be shared right there. So that's also a possibility.
Yes. Yes. I think it's like always about, do I want to help the parents or do I
Yeah,
want to help the people who helps the parents?
exactly.
So I haven't decided.
Yeah. All right. I really love this conversation. Is there anything that you would like to say that we haven't touched upon that you feel like needed to be said?
Well, I just hope that people who are listening really understand that they need to understand like their business and their audience and what they're talking about, and not be afraid to use the platform they have, or as you even said, like the message they want to have,
Hmm.
to test. And I think that it's a lot about testing. Not be afraid to test, not be afraid to learn the data, and not be afraid to try again.
Beautiful. Perfect. Okay, so how can people reach out to you, connect with you, work with you? Yeah.
So the best way, there are two options. One is to go to my website, askmichal.com, and also find me on Instagram at askmichal, and just shoot me a DM, subscribe to my email list, and I'll be happy to talk.
Awesome. I'll link up everything in the show notes so people have something to click on. And yeah, like I said, I love this conversation. It was definitely a different conversation that I never expected that I would have. But I think we really, the focus was on how you have had to deal with everything, dealing with that sensitive topic. So I love that. And I want to say thank you for coming on the show and sharing that.
Yes, Ken, and thank you for being open to work with me on bringing something different and new.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Thanks so much. And thank you for everybody who's been listening today. And we'll catch up again next week.
Thank you.